She thought she'd get away with it because Karen always did. Until the judge's gavel cracked like a gunshot, silencing her smug grin forever. In a small-town gym where sweat and secrets mingled, Karen's latest scheme unraveled into a scandal that shook the community to its core. This wasn't just a theft. It was a betrayal so vile it turned neighbors into enemies and forced everyone to question what justice really meant. Karen Miller, 43, was the kind of woman who thrived on control. With her perfectly pressed blouses and a voice that could cut glass, she ruled every room she entered, or so she believed. The local gym, a modest brick building on the edge of town, was her stage. She'd strut through the locker room, barking complaints about towel shortages or unhygienic members, her eyes always scanning for weaknesses. Most people ignored her, rolling their eyes at yet another Karen moment. But Sarah Thompson, a 32-year-old Army veteran, wasn't most people. Sarah had returned from her third deployment with scars both visible and hidden. The gym was her sanctuary, a place to rebuild her strength and silence the memories of war. Her locker, number 47, held more than gym clothes. It contained her late brother's dog tags, a worn photo of her platoon, and a small journal where she poured out her grief. To Sarah, that locker was sacred. To Karen, it was just another opportunity. It started with whispers. Karen had been seen lingering near the lockers, her excuses flimsier each time. "I thought it was my locker," she'd snap when questioned, her tone daring anyone to challenge her. But Sarah noticed things: Masinga water bottle, a spare keychain, small tokens of her life. She didn't confront Karen, not at first. Veterans don't pick fights over petty theft. They strategize. Sarah started locking her valuables in a smaller pouch inside her locker, but she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The tension simmered for weeks, like a storm cloud waiting to burst. Karen's behavior grew bolder. She'd hover near Sarah's locker, her eyes glinting with something darker than curiosity. Sarah, ever observant, began to suspect Karen wasn't just a nuisance but a predator. The gym's security cameras were outdated, and the staff, overworked and underpaid, shrugged off complaints. So Sarah took matters into her own hands. She rigged her locker with a tiny motion sensor camera, the kind she'd used on missions to catch insurgents. If Karen was stealing, Sarah would have proof. The trap was set on a chilly Tuesday morning. Sarah left her locker unlocked, the pouch inside stuffed with decoy items: a fake watch, a cheap necklace, and a note that read, "I see you." Karen took the bait. The camera caught everything. Her quick glance over her shoulder, the practiced ease with which she pried open the locker, and the smug satisfaction as she pocketed the pouch. But Karen didn't stop there. In a moment of reckless greed, she grabbed Sarah's journal, flipping through its pages with a sneer before tossing it into her gym bag. That was her fatal mistake. Sarah confronted her the next day, her voice low but lethal. "Give it back, Karen. All of it." The locker room fell silent, every eye on the two women. Karen laughed, a sharp, mocking sound. "You're paranoid, sweetie. Maybe you lost your little diary in that mess you call a life." The words stung, but Sarah didn't flinch. She held up her phone. The video paused on Karen's guilty hands. "This says otherwise." The gym exploded into chaos. Members shouted, some defending Karen out of habit, others rallying behind Sarah. The manager, desperate to avoid a lawsuit, called the police. Karen's face twisted from defiance to panic as officers arrived. She tried to spin a story, claimed it was a misunderstanding, that she was organizing the lockers for the gym's sake. But the video was undeniable, and Sarah's journal, recovered from Karen's bag, was the final nail in her coffin. The trial was a spectacle. The courtroom, packed with locals, buzzed with anticipation. Sarah took the stand, her voice steady but raw as she described the journal's significance. "It's not just paper," she said, her eyes locking onto Karen's. "It's my brother's memory. It's my survival." The prosecutor played the video, and gasps rippled through the room. Karen's lawyer tried to paint her as a misguided do-gooder, but the evidence was overwhelming. The judge, a no-nonsense woman with a reputation for fairness, listened in silence, her expression unreadable. Karen's testimony was a disaster. She rambled, deflecting blame onto Sarah, the gym, even the town itself. "I was just trying to help," she cried, her voice cracking. "She's unstable, look at her. She's the one who set me up." The outburst drew murmurs of disgust from the gallery. Sarah sat motionless, her hands clenched, as Karen unraveled. The prosecutor's final question was a dagger. "Ms. Miller, did you know the journal contained the last words of a fallen soldier?" Karen's silence was louder than any confession. The judge didn't hesitate. "Karen Miller," she began, her voice like steel. "Your actions were not a mistake but a deliberate violation of trust. You targeted a woman who served this country, stealing not just her possessions but her peace. The maximum sentences, even years, for felony theft and emotional distress was handed down without delay." Karen's gasp echoed in the silent courtroom as she was led away in handcuffs, her once imposing presence reduced to a trembling shadow. The town was divided. Some saw the sentence as justice, a long-overdue reckoning for a woman who'd bullied her way through life. Others whispered it was too harsh, that Karen was a product of her own insecurities, not a criminal mastermind. Sarah, meanwhile, returned to the gym, her journal back in her locker but her trust in people fractured. She'd won, but the victory felt hollow. The dog tags, the photo, the journal, they were safe, but the violation lingered like a bruise. The story spread beyond the town, igniting debates on social media and local news. Was Karen a villain or a victim of her own hubris? Was the judge's ruling a triumph of accountability or an overreach of punishment? The gym, once a place of routine, became a battleground for opinions, with members taking sides and friendships fraying. Sarah avoided the spotlight, but her silence spoke volumes. She'd exposed Karen's true nature, but at what cost to her own peace? In the end, the case wasn't just about a locker or a journal. It was about trust, betrayal, and the fragile line between right and wrong. Karen's fall was a warning. Privilege and entitlement can't shield you forever. Sarah's strength was a testament to resilience, but also a reminder of the toll it takes to fight for what's yours. The town would never be the same, and neither would the women at the heart of it. What do you think? Did the judge deliver justice, or was the punishment too severe? Share your thoughts on where the line between accountability and vengeance lies.